For something that we talk about so much and for something that so many of us have experienced maybe more than once throughout our careers, burnout is surprisingly difficult to find a consistent definition for. So instead, perhaps it's more appropriate to define it in terms of the three symptoms that accompany burnout. The first is a reduced sense of accomplishment, or perhaps even actually reduced accomplishment and reduced performance levels. The second symptom of burnout involves an emotional exhaustion. Sometimes this exhaustion might also be physical. And the third symptom of burnout, well, the terminology changes for it, but it's often called depersonalization. What this means effectively is a devaluation of our work, a loss of interest in our work, a cynicism. Understanding those three symptoms is really important for identifying when we ourselves might be sliding towards burnout, and also when some of the people that we're working most closely with are displaying those symptoms and might be actually burning out or heading towards burnout themselves. It is really common for stress and burnout to be associated with each other, and that's because going back decades, the definitions that you would find with burnout tended to revolve really heavily around stress. And it's not that stress doesn't play a role in burnout, but there is an alternative school of thought that suggests burnout is more of a motivational phenomenon than a stress-related phenomenon. The idea is that actually you could find examples of hundreds, thousands, millions of people who are operating under extreme stress without the prevalence of burnout. And that actually a sense of entrapment, a sense of having to do something that you don't really want to do, but being forced to do it, is actually the key driver in those three symptoms, in those three burnout symptoms. Looking at burnout from that perspective as being a motivational phenomenon rather than, or perhaps as well as being a stress-related phenomenon, leads us towards some of the solutions and some of the initiatives or interventions that we might put in place to support ourselves, our colleagues, in overcoming, in preventing, or treating burnout. Thankfully, there are a whole host of suggested actions or initiatives that people can take for this, but to give a few, my suggestions would be to target some of the motivational needs that we know all human beings have. So how can we facilitate a greater sense of autonomy for our people, allowing them to feel that they have more control and choice over their lives and over their work? How can we facilitate a greater sense of relatedness, fostering more positive relationships and a greater sense of belonging within our organizations? And then finally, that third motivational need is around competence. So what can we do to increase people's sense of competence and confidence in their ability to do their work? Once we've put in any number of initiatives to meet those motivational needs, another suggestion that you see really regularly in the literature is to help people and help teams better balance their resources versus their demands. What is it that they are required to do? What is it that their organization and their clients are asking of them? And what are the resources, the corresponding resources that they have available to them or perceive are available to them to meet those demands, and making sure that those two scales are evenly balanced.